Hello, Darren Wagner here, and this video is going to be a little bit different. This is something that has been brewing for a long time that I kind of wanted to get off my chest. The image you're seeing right now is of the USS Trepang, SSN 674, as she was when I served on her. This picture was taken in Groton, Connecticut, late 90s, when that became her home port for the last 4 or so years of her active duty existence. You can see that we've got the brow there. That's the catwalk that goes from the ship to the pier. That's a thing that I used to go back and forth on all the time when I was standing watch and going to and from work every day while we're in port. That banner across the brow was one that I remember, putting on many times as we went to different ports. And you can see here that her 2 periscopes are fully extended for maintenance. And it is those periscopes that sort of bring me to my next, to this video, I guess. In looking, online for images like this one to use in videos, what one will come across if they type in USS Trepang invariably are images like these. These are presented online as photographic evidence of UFOs that were taken by Trepang in around 1971, shortly after the ship's commissioning. The keel was laid in 1967, according to my information. The ship was finished construction in 69, launched in 70, and fully commissioned in 1971. Dates vary depending on the source. I'm using, something that I have here from back when I was in the Navy that presents this information. First of all, I want to say that I do believe that UFOs are real. But when I say UFOs, I'm not talking about alien spaceships. I'm talking about things in the air that aren't identified. The literal definition of UFO, unidentified flying object. I don't believe, however, that these images are of UFOs because I feel that I can identify them. I'm going to start with this one because it's one of the more compelling ones. It does appear to show some sort of wing-like shape in the air. This is a magnification of something that was filmed. You can tell by how blurry it is. The object, in my opinion, is something that is very close to the periscope lens. It's possibly a moth. It could also be a piece of debris, paint chip. That kind of thing happens occasionally on submarines. They're painted a kind of dark gray / black paint to help them stay, invisible while they're underwater, particularly in areas like the Caribbean where the water is very clear, or the Mediterranean where also the water tends to be very clear at deep intervals. Thing is, though, these photos are taken. They're like snapshots, where you take 50 or so images a second, that kind of thing. Because these are also probably just video images that have been freeze framed and then zoomed in. There's nothing here that suggests that this object is an object that is flying. It looks to me like some kind of piece of debris that just happens to be caught in a perfect little image here. And again, nothing compelling here that says that this object is floating or flying. It looks to me possibly more like it is, just hanging there in the air because that's just where it happened to be when the picture was taken, and it's much closer to the lens and to the periscope's, viewing window. Same with this one as well. This second one again shows a rather unaerodynamic form, just kind of hanging there. I think this is either a droplet of water that's just reflecting light very differently. It could also be, like I say, a paint chip. The Trepang was relatively new at the time. These things were these images were being recorded, and nothing about this screams unidentified object to me, unidentified flying object to me. But the last two are a little bit more compelling, perhaps, to somebody who is not familiar with submarine operations. And this second one appears to be some kind of object that is breaking the cloud barrier. You can also see what looks like a heat plume of some kind in the left-hand quadrant of the left-hand half of the vessel, the object. I don't believe this is a saucer. I believe what this is a cylinder. You see, Trepang was originally designed to fire a number of different weapons. By the time I came on board in the late 90s, she only fired one kind of weapon, and that was a Mark 48 torpedo. And when she was originally designed, she was designed to fire both torpedoes. She was designed to fire torpedoes, but also harpoon missiles, and also a weapon called sub-rock, which was approved back in the 50s. Sub-rock stood for submarine rocket, and it was basically a short-range nuclear device. It was designed, depending on who you talk to be some sort of nuclear depth charge kind of situation, or just to nuke a battle group. It was classified by some people as a spoil sport weapon, the kind of weapon that you launch when you're about to die and you need the other ships to die rather quickly. And so you fire this short-range rocket with a 250 kiloton thermonuclear warhead on it, and that pretty much takes out any surface ships, like a battle group or something that you might be trying to dog. In 1971, Trepang would have been testing that weapon system. By the time I got to her, as I said, it didn't exist, but there was still a console in the torpedo room that was labeled sub-rock that had a number of controls and things on it. And it was, the torpedo man would tell you that's just for looks. That's for a weapon system that we don't have anymore. So it was a console that they like to, put their drinks on and things like that, because it wasn't hooked up to anything, and it was just there. It was part of the weapons control panel down in the torpedo room, but it was a section that was essentially turned off forever. So in testing that system, they would have been launching sub-rocks and then also watching through the periscope what happened, and I believe that's what we have here. Now, again, somebody else with letters after their name might disagree and say that this is something else, that this is in fact an Independence Day style saucer breaking through the clouds. I think it's part of that test, and I do believe this is probably a malfunctioning test, given by how much it seems to be smoking and how much water vapor we can see around it. Or it was a successful test, but it's just in the infancy of the launch, where you have a mess of different clouds and things that are being are obscuring the image. The next one is perhaps the most ominous, and this one, if the previous one didn't evoke thoughts of Independence Day, this one definitely will. It appears to be an object, possibly a vehicle, hovering over the horizon line. Now, when I first saw this, I know instantly what it was. It in my mind, this is not a UFO. What you're actually looking at here is a land mass. It's a land mass in the distance. You might be saying, well, Darren, how come it looks like it's floating? I mean, a land mass. I mean, what is this, Asgard? I mean, what are we looking at here? It is a landmass, and the reason why it looks like it's a landmass, or rather, the reason why it looks like it is floating, is the same reason why this sailing ship looks like it's floating over the horizon. It looks like like it's floating the same reason that this cruise liner looks like it's floating over the horizon. It's a phenomenon called Fata Morgana. And to help you understand, I'm going to show you an image of something that maybe some of you are more familiar with. This is a desert mirage. And what happens in a desert mirage is that the heat combined with the moisture in the air, even in the desert, will cause a mirroring effect on the land the closer you get to the actual horizon line, and it obscures the horizon. Now on land you can clearly see what this is. It looks like there's water, a pool of water somewhere just out of walking distance. On the ocean, however, it has a different effect. It merges the sky with the water line. So getting back to this sailing ship here, the water line is actually where the ship's hull ends, but that's where the water line is, where that ship is. However, what we see is a water line much closer to us, and that gives it the illusion that it's floating. This is one of the reasons why the flat Earth model, on the flat Earth model, it's an explanation for why we can't see Japan from California, or Hawaii from California, or Hawaii from Japan, or vice versa. And that's not because of curvature there, but because you're simply looking through hundreds, if not thousands, of miles of moisture, and that combined with heat and also perspective causes this effect. So a landmass that has not fully come into view due to Fata Morgana would look very much like this. And that's what I'm convinced this is. This is not an ominous space vehicle or unidentified flying object. This is simply a landmass that is being viewed through a periscope and experiencing the illusion of Fata Morgana. Now, full disclosure, when these images were taken, I was not even born yet. I was born in, several years after 1971. But given my specific knowledge of Trepang, and also the experience of simply looking at things across the ocean with various degrees of magnification, I feel I'm safely assuming here that none of these images are actually UFOs. They may look like UFOs for people who want to believe in UFOs and want them to be UFOs, but I don't see UFOs when I look at these images. I hope that helps. So yeah, this was a little bit more of a freestyle video. This, you can hear all my ums and ahs, and I don't like to do unscripted, videos like this very much. But in this case, I thought it was a nice change of pace. All right. So as always, like, share, and subscribe. Also, if you would like to support this channel, please consider buying a copy of my book, Captain Steel and Other Stories, available on Amazon in both paperback and digital formats. And until next time, thanks for watching.